I love it when I get this question, but I've never made a video about it. So today I'm going to be talking about when to rent and when to buy a house. And some of you might be like, what do you mean, Chris? You would always want someone to buy a house. The reality is, in many circumstances, that is not necessarily true. So today I want to break down more of the math and science of what goes on in my brain when I'm giving someone $1 million game plan to answer even just this simple question: when to buy and when to rent.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
When does it make sense to rent? And when does it make sense to have a mortgage? I'm gonna do my best in today's video to share with you some examples of when you'd actually wanna do one or the other. Because I would love to say that the answer is get a mortgage, don't waste your money on rent. But the reality is there are times when it actually makes sense. So I'm actually gonna share with you a couple of examples. First of all, I want you to think, what's more important to you? Becoming financially free or having a nice pad? I mean, like, for just a moment, pan around here a little bit. Like, I have a really, really nice house. It'll get blown out if we come over here, but we got the hills and the sun's out and it's green and it's beautiful. And I love this house. And the reality is it's a multi-million-dollar house. And this house is not paid off. We have a lot of it paid off, but the reason why it's not paid off are for some of my other investing reasons that become pretty obvious if you are a subscriber to this channel and you learn about how to build wealth, because what I'm doing is I'm controlling assets. And so the answer to this question of when does it make sense to rent, when does it make sense to have a mortgage, really comes down to some simple math. Do you value getting ahead financially, or do you value spending your money and living in the moment? I bought my very first house. It was a tiny little bungalow and I got a mortgage. My basement was rented out and that basement rent actually covered my entire mortgage. So we were living for free. That felt better to me than losing $400 a month, because it meant that I had more money now every month to put towards my investing. In most situations, it makes sense to have a mortgage. When it stops making sense as much, comes down to really this math. Number one, what percentage of your earnings are you saving? Because if, for example, today I've got the money out because I've done some videos with it. If this here represents like my most recent paycheck for like the month or the quarter, if I'm only saving a little bit of it, and it's because I have a really monstrous mortgage so I can have a nicer lifestyle today, then I would say I'm fronting myself a good lifestyle today that it looks like I can afford, but my future can't afford it. If you can have a mortgage and have a significant amount of your money go towards investing and have a mortgage, then you're probably clear. In other words, properties, when they tend to be underneath the median, like when you're in the $100,000, $200,000, and $300,000 range, you could always move out of that house and be cash flow positive, especially with a lease option. But the moment you start getting into a $500,000 mortgage, a $700,000, $1 million, if you couldn't sell the house and you also couldn't afford to stay there, you're gonna lose money, thousands of dollars renting it out to somebody else. And so that also doesn't make sense. When you want to have a mortgage is when it fits in your investment plan. And so I'd ask yourself, first of all, if getting a mortgage decreases the amount of money that you can have to invest, then you may want to consider just renting. I'll give you an example. I won't name any names, but one of my partners has bought about 10 homes with me very successfully. They had a lot of money in the bank. They had been excellent savers, and they partnered up with me, and I took them to the very best markets. And we only started less than a year ago. 10 properties, they're crushing it. But they also are interested in having a nice lifestyle, and they're renting a cheap, nice home, but they're so tempted to buy that $1 million home and to just like live it up right now. And I'm saying, guys, you have a choice. You can put your money to work and turn these 10 homes into 20 and 40 and 100 homes and freaking crush it financially, or you can have the lifestyle that you want. And you have to ask yourself, what's more important to you and where's the balance? Here's really what you want to do. You want to have a period of time in your life when you have what's called delayed gratification. And it doesn't matter whether you're making a lot of money or a little bit of money, but delayed gratification means I'm pushing off the things that I want so that I have more money saved that I can invest with. And what's the goal here? Oh, it's real simple. You want to be saving no less than 10% of everything that you make that you withhold for you to invest with. Ideally, you want that minimum to actually be 20%. And if you start doing a great job with your money, you want to turn that into 30% and 40% and 50%. Just contrast this. When I bought my first investment property, it took me 14 months to save up to buy it. And when I bought it and moved out of it, that was a $500 a month cash flow by keeping that home. Fast forward 4 years, I had a $12,000 a month cash flow. That was more money than I made at my job, which meant that now I could leave my job and have real freedom. Most people will never taste financial freedom because too little money goes into the investing pile and too much of it is mortgage, a nicer car, good food, and there's not enough to invest with. That's the plague, that's the problem is, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now. But if you delay gratification for 5 years and put that money into your investments, even just 5 years from now, you can step into a much more luxurious life. I didn't buy any luxurious item for myself for the first 5 years of investing. And then I moved in a beautiful 10,000 square foot home on the golf course, right outside the canyon, started traveling around everywhere because my real estate was paying for it. My interest, my dividends were paying for it. Is it smarter to buy a house? Depends. Is it smarter to rent? It depends. If you're talking about real estate under $300,000, then having a mortgage will always make sense. If you can also keep in mind that you should be treating this like an investment property, meaning I'm not going to live here forever. If I needed to turn it into an investment, could I do that and could I make that work? And if the answer is yes, I think that you're absolutely on the right track. Because for most people, their own home will be one of their best investments. You stay in that home for 20 years, you might accumulate $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 worth of equity. Friends, there you have it. I hope that's helpful for you in determining and understanding the principles on when to rent, when to own. At the end of the day, I don't care about owning anything. All I really care about is use and control. When I buy all these homes, I'm not really buying them because I'm not buying any of them cash. I buy a home almost every single day. And I buy it with leverage, and that home produces a fantastic ROI. And I'm going to hold that home for 5 years. Why do I know I want to pay it off? Because in 5 years, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to double my money. I'm going to go buy 2 more. So I want to control the asset. Ownership is not really ever the goal. The more of us that can really disassociate from ownership will actually create a lot more financial flexibility in your life instead of trying to keep up with some concept when there's a cheaper way to have and control what you want and have the money, most importantly, to be able to invest. Thank you for watching today. If you do not have a free copy of the Straight Path book, I've got copies of it currently available. It's yours, just cover the shipping on it, click the link below. This will show you way more detail on exactly how to make your first $1 million with your own custom game plan. And I'm super excited. Everyone needs to have a multi-million-dollar game plan, and now you get to have yours now. It's in the link below. Subscribe, and we'll see you on tomorrow's video.